17 people have been arrested by the Home Office today in a caravan park outside of Bristol because they were working without the proper documentation. And this story illustrates really well what I was saying in this video here about how Labour's going about its approach to immigration all wrong. So let me explain. These people were found to have overstayed their visa. Now, what does that mean? Unless you are seeking asylum, in order to come to the UK as an immigrant, you have to apply for permission before you come. That permission is called a visa, and we grant it on the basis that you're going to work, or you're going to study, or you're going to be joining family members, and you have to pay fees, really high fees, thousands of pounds. But once you get here, that's not the end of the story. Almost all visas are granted on a temporary basis. After a certain amount of time, you either have to leave or you have to reapply for the same visa over again. And when you have to do this, you have to pay those visa fees all over again. So that's thousands of pounds per person all over again in order to stay in your home, in your job, in the life that you have built here in the UK. The application process is also really complicated, and very often you might need the support of an immigration lawyer, which is also really expensive. So overall, our visa system means that after a couple of years, everybody who's here in the country has to go through an extremely expensive and complicated process in order to just stay in their job and stay in their home. And unsurprisingly, not everyone can always fulfill that. Sometimes people just simply can't afford the fees, or make a mistake on the form, or they're going through some kind of crisis in their life, which means that they are just simply not able to fulfill that reapplication in time. And you can say, well, they should just leave, and most of them do. But for some people, that just isn't realistic. Their lives and their families are based here and they don't have anything to go back to. They are very often employed. They are doing work that our country needs them to do, providing a service that our country makes use of. In this case, they were delivery drivers. Now, there's a lot of classist bullshit that goes around on the anti-immigration side of the internet, and people saying, oh, we don't want delivery drivers. And these will all be people who probably order a pizza now and then, order a package from the internet and make use of delivery drivers. Really quite low to say we don't respect or care about the rights of the people who deliver our food and our packages in this modern world where we all actually rely on that. So these are people who are working and they don't have the ability to renew their status. So what happens is they lose their immigration status, but they're already here in the UK. They came legally, they didn't seek asylum, but they are here now without documentation. At that point, the big gig economy companies that they're working for know perfectly well that they are in a situation where they cannot complain, because if they complain and demand decent wages, being paid the minimum wage, if they demand sick pay, if they demand holiday leave, if they demand any of these things that all workers deserve and rely on, then the company can simply say, we'll shop you to the Home Office. And for the company, it doesn't matter, because there's always going to be more people, because of that immigration system that I described, there's always going to be more people coming through who are vulnerable and without rights, because the system churns people out who are vulnerable and without rights. So when the government targets the workers, they arrest the workers who are providing a service that we need, well, it doesn't help anyone. Obviously, it's incredibly harmful for those workers. It could destroy their lives. But it does no harm whatsoever to the company that has been employing them. What the company can simply do is employ somebody else who has been put into the same circumstances. And this is my point. If Labour wants to fix this situation, then they absolutely have to go after the systemic drivers of what is pushing people into working in these circumstances. Nobody should be working in the UK without the proper documentation, because it leaves them vulnerable to serious abuse. These people, instead of being arrested and for you and me to pay a private firm to detain them and lock them up, and then another private firm to try to enact their deportation, by the way, all of that's extremely expensive as well as causing them immense harm. Instead of paying for that, let's give you a chance to regularize your status. So to do that reapplication for your visa, but not charge you so much that it makes it impossible to do that. Just charge you the cost that it takes to administer the process. And then those people will be here with paperwork providing that service. And we don't go into this cycle of misery where we pay to get rid of more people and more people are churned out of the system and end up in the same circumstances again. This is a doom loop that doesn't serve any of our interests. Oh, except for the big gig economy companies who are making a killing out of this. And of course, for the private companies that run detention and deportation